Okay, Yandhi, welcome to the podcast. It's so crazy to have you on. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the podcast. It's been a while since we've talked, but
it's been a minute.
Yandhi, I used to be doing audio engineering here in the city. Currently, we're in Brooklyn, New York. It is Monday, and Yandhi is known in the city as an engineer. He's engineered a lot of rappers. He does drill rap, engineering, other sorts of styles and genres. He's also very involved in the creative and the artistic community in the New York area, and he's worked on many projects, including videography, DJing. He's into fashion, into different things like that. Give me a little background. First of all, how did you end up in this studio? Because this is a really cool studio.
Honestly, this was a gem that me and the owner found last minute.
Yeah?
We were actually going to relocate to another spot, and this was the last one on the list. And he was like, yo, Yandhi, come check out the spot with me. Got here, fell in love.
Nice.
Because rather than our other spot, we're the only owners there. This is all us.
Nice.
Nobody else. So, that's wonderful comfortability.
Yeah, that's a huge benefit to have the space to yourself. It's a really big space, and it's in a very central location as well. There's a lot of hustle and bustle going on around here, a lot of movement and energy, which I think is really something that can be inspiring to anyone, especially in the creative industry. Just being around lots of movement and energy is always a positive, I think.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit about your inspiration. Who are some of the people that you looked up to? And obviously you're forging your own path, but we all have those people who are, inspire us and really get us motivated.
I could say my top motivators and the people that inspire me to do what I do today is first my mom. I see how she does whatever she set her mind to, she could do it. So I just take that same energy and I apply that in life and move the same way about it. As an artist, I'd say Tory Lanez, Kendrick, and Dr. Dre is my top 3 inspirations.
Nice. And those three all they're in different lanes, so I can see how you draw different inspiration. Tory Lanez is very interesting. Have you been paying attention to everything surrounding his case, and what's your opinion on that?
When it comes to opinions on his case, I don't have too much to say on it. Rather than just, it is sad to see what happened to him.
Yeah.
Free Tory. And besides that, I hope that actual justice is served.
Of course. Yeah, that's all we can hope for. And I appreciate, too, how you're not the kind of guy who's always throwing, like, an opinion on someone's issues or what they're going through. I can totally see that about you, and I've always respected that about you. You sort of stay... You don't keep to yourself, but you're not unnecessarily worried about the ups and downs of other people around you, and it's a very respectful way to live too. Very respectful to those people. Just winding back the clock. Let's go back a few years. How did you even become an audio engineer in general?
Well, I started first as an artist, like I said before.
Yeah.
And it was based solely off of engineers not caring enough for the artistry, not understanding that the time and effort that you put into an artist's track is also your name going on it. When they go back to show this to people, they're like, yo, Yandhi recorded this.
Yes.
So I just felt like people were doing it for the money, and I didn't appreciate that. As an artist, I'm not going to grow with you just telling me, oh, yeah, that's fire, that's fire. If you be blunt, be direct. That's how you grow.
Yeah, and it's amazing that culturally we're never, like, growing up, I never heard about any audio engineers or anything, which is fascinating because the engineer really plays a massive impact on how the actual song sounds, on how that product comes out. It's like, and typically lots of rappers will, you know, give a lot of creative liberty to the engineer, but you don't really end up hearing about that. Were there any engineers that inspired you, or were you not really paying attention or cognizant of them?
Honestly, if it was one engineer that would, I say, inspire me, my boy Daniel McGill.
Nice.
And he's not like a big time engineer, but he's had his foot, he stepped foot in the industry. And I don't know if to this day he engineers now, but he is also one of the reasons why I started audio engineering.
Nice.
When I was an artist, I went to him and he was like, yo, bro, you could do this yourself. I was like, you know, why would you tell me that? That's taking money out of your pockets. He told me because you're talented. So I feel like you could take this and grow with it.
Yeah.
And I did just that.
Yeah, I respect that a lot. And I said a similar thing recently. My friend he plays guitar, and he wanted me to engineer some work for him. But I told him that he should do it himself, and I actually told him I'd put him in touch with you, like potentially if you would be down for that to meet him. But I totally get that. Like sometimes people are looking for an engineer to kind of save their music, when in reality they need to take it step by step and really develop that art themselves. But the engineer always plays a very vital role. As a creative, it's really hard. I know this question is going to be hard for you to answer, but do you have a favorite client you've worked with in terms of their sound?
Sound-wise, I'm not going to lie. I'll probably say my sis, Young Devyn right now.
Nice, Young Devyn.
Just, you know, her creative process is nice, it's effortless. And it's always a vibe. You're not really bored recording her. You don't find yourself getting tired. And it's always, you're there. So she makes you feel just as much a part of the process as she's doing it.
Nice. So. That's really cool. What are your biggest like pet peeves when someone comes to the studio and wants to record with you or hits you up on Insta or whatever?
I don't really have a problem when it comes to people DMing me and everything. I just sometimes have to find the time. If not, I probably got to get an assistant because I do get a lot of hit-ups.
Yeah.
I could say my pet peeve though about, you know, people recording with me, especially new people, is just when I get a new client, I'm already knowing without even having to ask you. Besides, if you tell me this is your first time in the studio, you've been to a bunch of studios prior to this meeting, so you have kind of like pre-PTSD, like I don't know if the engineer is sturdy, I don't know if he's gonna do his job right, so people get real bossy. I do understand that technically they are the boss, they're paying me for a service and now I have to dish out that service, but it's a level of respect that needs to be, I don't know, not understood, but that we should equally give each other, and some artists don't do that.
100%. When I started working Midtown, I hadn't ever professionally been paid to record something before. And I noticed it was, for me, incredibly fast-paced, incredibly stressful, like constantly people coming in and out, like so many people were through there every day, every night. We'd work late into the night, like every night. Was that difficult for you at first, or were you always, because I noticed it was like a storm and then you were always kind of staying calm throughout everything. Was it always like that, or did it take a while for you to get to that level of calmness?
I would say, honestly, it kind of was always like that. I was always used to the late hours because oftentimes I used to record myself in my car.
Yeah.
So the best hours to record, because I can't record in the crib, late, because nobody's driving outside, not too much foot traffic, perfect. So I just park up, go crazy.
Nice. How did that affect the sound, like the car recordings?
Honestly, it wasn't that bad. If I was to listen back to them today, I could tell you like the issues with them. But being that I was doing that when I was first starting to learn how to engineer, so I was like probably like, I would say a year in when I was starting to do that, it was coming out okay. You feel me? I had a couple clients book me. Like, was traveling to them, recorded them in my car. So, for the most part, it wasn't that bad. I feel like sometimes people get caught up in the spaces that they're recording in and not understanding that you just gotta make it happen with what you got.
Work with what you have. I'm a really big believer in that sentiment. For what I do, for everything in life, we need to work with what we have. If you guys listening are creative, if you want to do some creative endeavor, a lot of the mistakes people make is they start and then they're like, oh, I need to buy like the best software, I need to buy the best mic, the best whatever it is, like invest so much early on, and then they just lose the passion immediately and there's really nothing there. You have to work with what you have. Like, don't spend money so quickly like that. It's like you need to fall in love with the basic tools for your art, and that's how you really take it from there. And only get that fancy stuff when you need it, once you actually encounter a need for it, or else it will be sort of artificial. Something about working Midtown, there was a lot going on. We were right by Times Square, thousands of people in the streets just constantly. It was almost overwhelming for me at times, but I also really loved that energy. With that, though, there were a lot of crazy things happening, especially with the music industry and the studios. Sorry.
No worries.
Where we were working.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was violent things happening. A week before I wound up there had been some other shooting, and I'm not sure how comfortable you are getting into certain things you witness, but there was one event, obviously, where you were there that night, and unfortunately, I believe someone died.
Nah, I honestly, because if I'm not mistaken, last I had seen of that was that the kid was in a coma.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's tragic, and
Definitely.
You have like some kind of PTSD from that. How are you dealing with it?
Honestly speaking, if I be telling people like what happened that night sometimes, and they'd be like, "Nah, you're crazy," but to me, it's I know it's a cold world.
Yeah.
I know that it's slimy out here. It's really dirty.
Yes.
So with that in mind, it's like I keep my nose where it needs to be in my business because I'm an energy person. So what I mean by that is I attract the energy that I go out looking for. If I'm going out looking for that, even if it's just to see what's going on, I'm attracting that kind of energy into my life. So I'd rather not. The same night that it happened, even though it was in the next room, the police all in the hallway in the room, I'm sitting there recording music.
The whole time?
Whole time.
They ask you questions and stuff?
Nah. At first, they asked me, I was like, yo, do I gotta leave? They was like, nah. I was like, bet. We about to cook up because that situation don't got nothing to do with me.
Wow.
You feel me? I thank God that I wasn't in harm's way.
Of course.
That I'm safe.
Yeah, always thank God. But that really speaks to your calmness. Like, I think that situation in particular is like the perfect example because there were so many things happening constantly, crazy things, fights, arguments, like yelling, screaming, music, but you just stayed like making beats, recording like the whole time. And I always respected that about you because in life the world is crazy, for everyone it's crazy. And when we can see someone who's in an even crazier situation than ourselves, who's able to handle it very maturely and keep an even keel and stay stable, that's very inspiring to a lot of people. And you've definitely inspired a lot of people, me and just probably a high percentage of people you interact with around the city. You had a lot of artists coming, recording. Was there ever an artist where they came for their first session and you thought, there's something there. There's this guy, they're going to be something big. Did you ever have that thought? Or are you more not calling things before they happen?
I don't call things before they happen anymore due to the fact of I'm also an artist, and in the industry they say it takes 7 years to break an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I could work with somebody right now, but they still need to be developed. They still need work around the edges. They still need to be crafted.
Yeah.
They still need to work on their craft. So with people I see potential in, I would say I have a hand in pushing them a little bit harder on some, yo, let's stop making this kind of music and push towards this kind of music. I know where you're trying to go in life, so let's do it.
Nice.
Try to keep them motivated, because I know as an artist, sometimes we don't have the greatest support team.
Yeah, of course, especially people who come through New York. There's a lot of people chasing their dreams, and they're from, you know, wherever, and they wind up in the city. They find a studio, and they want to get to work, and yeah, it's like, it's really nice that places like that exist that are so welcoming for just anyone really who wants to come and record and learn about music. So I find that really interesting. Talk to me about your sense of style, because I know you've always been into fashion, and fashion plays a big role in what you do. So were there any particular people who inspired you, or have you always been trying to create your own wave with the fashion?
I could really say if it was anybody to inspire me, just off of the strength of me seeing their style after I see how I started to dress.
Yeah.
It would really just be like the hipsters kind of vibe, because that's really how I dress for real.
Yeah.
I like to go for intricate things that not everybody wears, but I still like to keep in with the now. Still like to fit in, but I like to stand out.
Of course. Yeah, I like that vibe a lot. Fit in, but stand out. Stay low-key, don't draw unnecessary attention, but also make it clear that you're your own man. You're doing your own thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I really do like that. New York is a crazy city, as we all know. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of people who are heartless in New York. Very heartless.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? How do you, especially in the creative industry, how do you deal with people who look at you and see something they can take from you? Because that happens every day in New York.
I mean, well, in terms of like industry-wise?
Yeah.
Well, once you get deep enough in the industry, you understand that it's everyone's an opportunist.
Yes, of course.
Especially once you get to a certain position in the industry, everybody wants something. So it's really up to you to be a judge of character for people and think, is it beneficial to what I have going on? Yeah, I know they want something, but I want something as well. So that's just how I look at it nowadays.
Just like this podcast, I wanted to interview a cool person. So it's like, yeah, like all opportunistic, but it has to be in a respectful way at the end of the day.
Yeah, if it works for both of us, if it's beneficial for both parties, then, you know, it works out. And especially if there was already a mutual understanding, then it makes it all the better.
100%. Has there ever been a client you refused to record because they would have brought like a dangerous situation?
Not gonna lie, being in New York, I record a lot of drill artists.
Yeah.
So it's always a sense of dangerous situations with them.
Of course.
But funny enough, the way that they act in the booth, like not even act, but the way that their personas, the energy they give in the booth, and then how we talk, the dialect, you wouldn't think that they're a drill artist.
Yeah.
So I never really have that problem, because once people work with me, they understand I'm going to give you great work.
Yes.
So we're going to vibe just on like regular human beings.
Nice.
For real.
When you were growing up, was drill on the scene? Were you listening to drill? What were you listening to growing up that inspired your music taste today?
Honestly, I'm an old soul, so a lot of oldies. Cause my mom, she didn't really like me listening to rap. She didn't like me listening to nothing with profanity.
Yeah.
So all oldies. So
nice.
A lot of Caribbean tunes, West Indies music. And as I grew up and I started to venture off with music, I could say like Drake was definitely one of them. Drake, Tory, Kendrick. Those
nice.
three right there. Bro.
That's awesome. Drake, Tory, Kendrick.
Yeah, I was listening to a lot of those three right there. And even with the drill aspect of things, because it was around me, it's part of my environment. I was in tune with what was going on. So when the songs like Big Op America came out, like all of the lit songs that was going about, I was in tune with them.
Nice.
I knew what was going on because I don't want to be out the loop either.
Yeah, are you from the city originally?
Yeah, I'm from out here.
Yeah, so this is something I've always been fascinated. By the way, I hope at least one is getting me in the shot as well, but it doesn't really matter. It will get it. But this is something I've been very fascinated with because I grew up in New Jersey, a little bit outside of the city. I always notice people who grow up in New York, around New York, they're just different people than from other places. Like, it's a certain mentality that is just baked into you by being around so much chaos all the time. Do you notice that, or do you just not even like when you meet people from other places and you can tell they're just different, like New Yorkers think faster, they do things faster, like they're always like doing something and moving, and you can just tell, like anyone from outside the city can tell, but can you tell?
Honestly, yeah, because then I'm the kind of person who also likes to leave the city sometimes to slow down. So that alone tells me that the city's moving fast.
Yes.
That, like, even how we walk when we were in Midtown, that by itself, everybody's in a rush. Everybody's hurrying to go somewhere. And that was one thing that I did like about the city. When I first went out there to Midtown, I always felt like sense of purpose. I could have went to the studio that day and not had one client. I could have just cooked up and worked on my craft. But I still progressed that day, and I still felt, hey, purpose.
Nice. I like that word purpose. It's a big theme for me because I like to think about everything in the sense of what is the purpose, and when I'm on my deathbed, what am I going to think? Am I going to think like, oh, I spent my time doing this stuff which had no real meaning and was just for me to feel good? Or am I going to think, oh, I was out doing stuff and like having a purpose and making a change and an impact? That's something I think about a lot. So I love the word purpose.
I like that question. I feel like that's a question that we all should ask ourselves daily. Because I don't that's a hard question to ask, like answer.
Yes.
For real. And honestly, that's why I live how I live. One of my boys said it. I don't want to live with regrets.
Yes.
So I'm going to do everything that I want to. So
100%.
Like you said, I'm not on my deathbed wondering like, yeah, I could have did this, I could have did that. Now I'm going to go out knowing I did everything I wanted to.
I respect that a lot, and I noticed that theme in certain people I interact with. It's very rare, but once you get into that mentality of just doing what you feel is what you're not going to regret one day, instead of like going and working and wasting all your... I'm nothing against like working a 9 to 5 or something, because that's great depending on you, but I knew I was going on a certain path where I knew I was going to have a lot of regret one day, and I just couldn't do that. I couldn't accomplish someone else's dream. I had to do my own dream, and it was a big like revelation moment for me in life, to just start trying to like actively every day just do what I think is something I won't regret. You said earlier that you like to sometimes escape from the city, slow down a bit. Are there any places you go, like you ever go out of state somewhere? Like what are your favorite places?
Honestly, because I got some family out there, and it's not too far. PA. For real.
Nice.
It's right there, and then...
You said PA? Nice. And beautiful out there.
Summertime, I'm the kind of guy I like nature. Nature relaxes me.
Yes.
It gives me like a sense of reset.
Yeah.
So I'll go hiking, go visit the waterfalls, smoke a blunt.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. I love nature too, and it's something when you're living in a city every day, you can kind of forget how nice it is to just be fully immersed in nature.
Yes.
But there is some nature here, you know, Central Park and whatnot.
Yeah, but it's not like...
Not the same.
Yeah, because you can still hear the city around the park, so... It's like, alright, you in nature, but you're not attuned to the frequency of nature. Like, it's not... It's a blend of the two, the city and nature. But, you know, like we said earlier, you don't complain, do what you got.
Yes, deal with what you got, exactly. That you just never complain, stay positive. I'm more and more convinced every day that negativity is not, like, people will say, like, it's just normal human, like, you have to be sad sometimes, but I really think you don't have to be negative ever, like, because life will give you what it gives you, and you just deal with it. And being negative, it's, like, so normal, and being so serious and negative in our society, but that really takes other people down who are around you. So I think I like to see society moving more towards a point where we're all trying to be positive and lift each other up and figure out what we can improve instead of always harping on the negatives and everything. 100%. So back to the idea of people are different from New York. I think a big part of it is you're surrounded by culture, so there's always something going on. There's always different artists, different musicians, and like you just learn so much. Even if you guys come to New York for like 1 month or a week even, you're gonna learn like so much more just passively, like just from like conversations you hear and what's going on. It's like it's a whole different world. I guess what I would ask is, given that, do you ever see yourself leaving New York?
Like, permanently?
Yeah.
Nope.
Never.
Never. Never. I mean, I'm always gonna come back to New York just because this is home.
Nice.
Honestly.
It just wouldn't feel natural anywhere else.
Nah, I wouldn't. I mean, I haven't traveled enough to say that I wouldn't. So, to backtrack on that statement, I wouldn't say, never say never.
Of course.
But until I experience the rest of what the world has to offer for me, right now, it's no.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
I respect that. That's very wise. Yeah, Yandhi, you are a very wise person. Like, always giving little tidbits of wisdom in just normal conversation, which is really cool. Obviously, you couldn't have been born with that. It had to come from somewhere. Did you have some mentor or something when you were young who was giving you lots of words of wisdom?
Nah, funny enough you say that. Like, as a kid, I was a troublesome kid.
Yeah.
For real.
In trouble in school and stuff.
Hell yeah. Like, even to this day, I be telling people, it's like, I would tell everybody to go to school. I'm still going to tell everybody to go to school. But I personally, I was skipping school. I'm book smart, so I was very smart. So all I had to do was go to class, and I passed the test. It didn't matter how many days I missed. I still passed them. But to this day, I don't have a GED. I do not have a diploma. I didn't fully finish my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Because I went to summer school, and then I had stopped going to summer school, and then I guess they just took me off. And here we are, Yandhi.
Nice.
But one thing I've learned in life is you can teach yourself. That's one thing. There's certain things school's not going to teach you.
Yes.
3. I lost track. Can you repeat the question one more time?
No, I think you more or less answered it. It was sort of touching on any mentors you may have had who really spoke some wisdom to you.
Oh, yeah, no. Life
is your teacher. I appreciate that answer. Yeah.
Life was my greatest mentor.
Of course.
Life and time.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of things that I couldn't learn. I had to learn throughout time. You can't learn everything in one jump. You might think you know everything, and then life hits, bam.
100%. This is a commonality in my life as well. Always thinking I know everything and then bam, starting from scratch again. And I think that is a commonality with a lot of people who are very wise, is that they weren't coddled. They didn't have someone looking out for them at all the time. And that's when you're sort of forged in the fire, as they say. That's sort of what teaches you. And when someone's not covering for every mistake you make, when you're forced to deal with consequences with life and the trials and tribulations of life, that's how you really learn things. And a lot of people are scared of that answer, but that's kind of how it works. Like, the people who become very wise are the ones who did things on their own, who had to deal with things on their own. I don't mean to suck up to you too much right now or flatter you too much.
But I also have to give it up to my mom too, because I would also say another thing that would play a role into it was how I was raised.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, she did scold me, like, what? I was doing all those things and getting in trouble, but it was like, I did those for another reason as well. So, and once I like explained to her what the other reason was, she became more understanding. It didn't make it okay, but she understood where it was coming from. She knows her son. She knows I'm smart.
Of course.
But, shout out Mama Dukes. Yeah, wouldn't be the man I am today without her.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. And talk to me about today, current day. So what are you working on now? What's the story now? Where do you see this going?
Now I have a couple more hats on my belt. I'm not just an engineer, an artist and producer. I'm an A&R now. I manage a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to step my hand a bit more into the fashion scene too. I want to start a brand. Project-wise, I have a song coming out Friday. So I say this week I'm going to drop another reel to promote the song one more time. And probably this interview. And after that, let it roll. Because I haven't really been too focused on the artist side of things because of all the other hats. But, one hat always helps out the other. So.
Of course. Yeah, and that artist hat will always be there. And that's kind of the big hat that encompasses everything. Exactly. The artistry. Yeah, I'm really excited about these projects. And if we could go back as well, something I didn't mention is the beat making, is also rapping that you were doing. And so the way I sort of wound up as an engineer, I had been chasing my dream of music, and I was looking for a way I could monetize that so that I could always be an artist and have a stable, secure job as well. And that's a commonality I noticed with many engineers. So when you were rapping and everything, you taught me a lot. I remember you even helped me with some of my songs. We made one song together that was fire. Mm-hmm. I had never heard like my voice so well engineered before, and that feeling was so addicting. I think that's what brings a lot of your clients back, is your ability to sort of work with anything. No matter what level the artist is on, you can really you have this magic touch, and you have a very unique style too with your engineering. Like a sound almost. It's like your own sound, and you can really tell when a track is prod by Yandhi, because it's like I don't know how would you describe your engineering sound?
It's just, I don't know, it's like an ear thing. Like some of my clients, they tell me I just have a good ear for music. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like that's where it all surrounds it from. I like to hear good sounding music. Ever since I was a kid, anything that sounded good, I wanted to hear it. Like if it was on shitty speakers, I wasn't really trying to hear it too much. I'd take it off the speakers, put it to my ears, type shit. I was that kid.
Nice. I remember, so it was summer 23. It was when those Jersey club beats were originating, when they started going on the radio. To you guys who don't know what that is, it's that kick pattern, which is like dun, 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 dun. It like skips the fourth and fifth one. And so now those are everywhere, all around the world, every country. Like the popular music uses that kick pattern. You were one of the early believers in that, one of the first engineers who was really like using that pattern, I think, at least who I saw, and you really seem to believe in that for all the beats you made, for like beats you were recommending for artists to get on. What about that? Was it just like, did you know that was going to be big immediately once you heard it? Or did you just like it a lot?
It was that as well as repetition. When you see, it's not even a repetition. Let's speak about it like analytics.
Yeah.
I take real-time conversations, real-time, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like session time, like any sessions with an artist, I look at those as analytics for my brain. And I just listen to the beats that they're using. What is a similar style that all artists are getting on?
Mm-hmm.
Even when it's not my session, I'm hearing someone else's. Remember in Midtown, 12 floors of studios. If I'm hearing a similar kind of beat in all those studios, all I gotta do is make something of my own, based around that.
Nice.
And just go.
Nice. I really like that. And I think that's so fascinating because it's another one of these things that it becomes a global sensation or a global trend, and people will hear that and they'll think, no one will ever think like, where did that, like, who was the first guy to like do that, or like where did that sound come from? But it's just like people know that sound, but they never think like where it came from. It's like low key like that, which is cool. And so many trends come out of New York and just the area in general. I noticed, but also I've been noticing lots of trends coming from Atlanta as well, and different places. Certain cities are starting to make big waves. They always have, but you know, Memphis, Atlanta, and the South.
South been going crazy.
Are there any cities apart from New York that you would shout out where you like a lot of what's coming out of there?
I'm always gonna shout out ATL. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
They always are walking. Besides ATL, Florida.
Florida.
Yeah, I fuck with Florida artists. They're tough. Like Lil Tyler.
Okay, I don't know Lil Tyler. I've heard of Lil Tyler, or yeah, I heard of him. Yeah,
he's tough.
I have to check him out. I really like Kodak a lot. I love Kodak. Obviously, I liked X a lot. They were from Broward County. Yeah, Florida's got a really cool sound to it as well. But that's cool that you do appreciate music from different places.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to New York, are there any artists that you would shout out who you like what they're doing, you see them on the come up right now?
I would say shout out my homegirl, young Devyn. She's been going crazy right now.
Nice.
Ever since I seen Bro, funny enough, I met him around the same time I met you, but his name is Ayo Aliante.
Ayo Aliante.
Yeah, he's going crazy too. Capella Gray, he's going crazy.
Nice.
And Story. And of course, all the artists in my camp. So shout out Siri, the Thilo. Who else in the camp? T Grizz. That's one of the artists I would have a hand in working with very closely.
Nice.
And shout out my manager.
Nice. Yeah, I noticed your manager is really on top of things. Really seems to be looking out for you and helping and working with you, and they seem to be like really on your wavelength. Like you're in sync. So I think that's really important when you have a manager.
Family, so it works.
I noticed you're big with the jewelry too. I love the chain.
Thank you. Funny enough, Siri, one of the artists I mentioned, she made this.
Really?
Yeah. She makes these.
That's great.
Her brand is called So Serious.
So Serious. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I'm not sure how good I would look rocking a chain like that, but it could work. It could work.
Yeah, you never know. She has them in different colors too, so.
Yeah. One thing before we start to wrap up, I wanted to ask you about. Do you remember in the studio Midtown you remember Max, that guy? Yeah.
I haven't heard about Max in forever, man.
Yeah.
The last time I seen him or heard from him was he was talking about something. Yeah, he just got out. He got caught for switching plates.
For what? Switching plates?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I was like, all right, you do your thing.
we're thinking about the same guy, right? Like, he said he used to be a banker, and then he was doing a lot of, well, I don't want to, obviously, like,
he was doing a lot of that.
Yeah. But he was a great guy. I loved Max. And
Max, he was always a high energy.
Yes, high energy, which I really liked. And I remember seeing him he went on No Jumper with famous Richard.
Yes, we're talking about the same Max.
Yes. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I had met this guy. One time, like, he paid me to go and get him some medicine he needed, which was really funny. But that was, like, so surreal for me to see him on No Jumper. And it kind of inspired me, too. I was like, well, like, I could, like, do something, too, like, you know, in that way. Like, that was inspiring.
I know that's the last thing that you're expecting. Like,
yes.
What?
Yes, because no one told me about it. I had been watching No Jumper, and it just came up, and I was like
oh,
yeah, I was like, oh,
I feel
shit.
Like that's really when the moment is really, like, actually surreal.
Yeah.
When you just stumble across it, and it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, what is life? But good guys, Famous Richard, shout out Famous Richard, shout out Max. Great guys. Okay, last thing. Any final thoughts? Any final shout outs or things you want to plug, things you want to mention, topics you want to touch on before we wrap up?
Nah, honestly, just some words of advice.
Of course.
For just for everyone, and no matter what field you are in. It was this, I seen something on Instagram. It was this video of Babyface Ray. That's also one of the states I want to shout out to. I think he's from Memphis, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know.
Babyface Ray, yeah, I fuck with him too. He's tough.
Nice.
So I seen an interview, a little clip. It was like one of those TikTok reels, and it said it took him 15 years to get on in the industry. So that goes to show people don't ever give up. Because you never know the day that you might win. All you need is one win, and you won forever. That's it. So keep working, and consistency pays off as well.
100%. Yandhi, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been the 7th episode, and look forward to keeping in touch with you, keeping up with your work and your projects, and thank you. It's great to catch up.
Definitely.
It's funny we're catching up in this context of the podcast, but yeah, life is crazy. You just gotta go with life, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway,
I like
Yandhi,
this concept too.
Yeah.
Definitely, like, one, it brings a natural sense of things to it.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I like that too. Like, pretty much unscripted, just trying to get like a real conversation and stuff you really want to talk about. And you have a lot to say. I know you don't talk too much. You talk, but you're not saying anything extra. But I think a lot of people do want to hear what you have to say. Like,
funny enough, you say that. Feel that same way.
Yeah, 100%. So thank you for coming on, and
no problem. Appreciate the opportunity.
100%. Let's wrap up in 3, 2, 1.